Hey everybody, welcome to the Nation's weekly podcast, where this week we checked 3 different times that all of the microphones are in fact plugged in and recording. Right, guys? Cool. Who's giving us a thumbs up? This week we have a special guest who you've never met before. His name is Joel Parker, and he has recently returned from the field in Papua New Guinea. So this is an exciting podcast for us because this is the first time that we've done one of these, and we're going to call it Field Report. So welcome to the Nation's Field Report. Reporting from the field, Joel Parker. Joel.
Well, I'm back from the field.
Joel Chandler Taylor Parker.
That's correct. 4 names.
Welcome, Joel.
Thanks. It's a long-time listener, first-time guest. Just kidding. I'm going to pour some coffee. Is that all right?
You go ahead and pour some coffee. Okay. So you just got back from almost 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think.
It felt like an eternity.
Yeah, 12, 13 days in country. Yeah.
12, 13 days in country.
Yeah.
With our good friends, Mark Palm and his family and the fine folks over at Samaritan Aviation.
It was really cool because, Mark was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And then we had this moment where we're like flying through the jungle. We're like, we were on the podcast together a few days ago. Now we're like flying, I'm with him flying through the Sepik region of Papua New Guinea. And yeah, it's pretty surreal.
Okay, so I'm kind of part of this podcast is the like, hey guys, welcome to building like a media company and a little bit of a behind the scenes peek. So you were there, you were supposed to be there, just kind of acting as like producer director for the Dispatch series that's following Samaritan Aviation and getting our new cinematographer all established. But we're learning that Papua New Guinea is not an easy place to make a documentary.
Incredibly difficult.
Why?
Well, everything in country is trying to kill you. It's the final frontier, they call it. It's the most remote place on earth, basically. And it has the absolute worst visa process. I mean, I've been to war zones that have been like, yeah, if you want to come on into the country. Papua New Guinea makes it really tough. So yeah, Taylor Brandt is, we were set to both be there during that time frame where I was basically going to be onboarding him because I'd been there back in September, filming the first couple episodes of Dispatch. And his visa got denied. So we're in the process of trying to make that happen, which forced me back into being an operator. So it's kind of shaking the rust off, dusting the rust off. Well, I don't know what that saying is, but you know what I mean?
Shaking the dust off?
Yeah, shaking the sorry, I'm a little jet lagged still. More rusty. Coffee, please. But yeah, it's such a good time. And I'm just blown away by the work that Samaritan Aviation does. Partially because I love aviation, but when you see like how a simple machine like an airplane on floats can save lives. And it's weird to it's one thing to hear somebody talk about it like on the podcast, like hearing Mark, like, yeah, we've been in Papua New Guinea as missionaries doing this thing. But to actually be in the plane when a kid's got a snake bite in the back and he's foaming at the mouth and he's like, eyes are rolling back and he's like pretty much dead on arrival. And then we go to the hospital the next day to like check in on him and he's gone. And you're like, what happened? He's like, oh, he got the antivenom. He's fine. And he's back in his village. And you're just like, holy cow. And then, Mark talks about the tribal warfare, and while we were there, like big uprising, and Mark's flying in and picking up guys with spears through them, like it's unreal. And the crazy thing is that it is real, and there's some amazing pilots, the Hammers who are from Alaska. We've got the Condon family who's from Ramona. We actually got to film with them. Actually, Aaron, you and I went up there. We filmed with them here like before they flew out to Papua New Guinea. Then I got to be there on Matt's very first flight. And he's just, he's been working his whole life to be a missionary pilot and a bush pilot. And he's like, to be there on his flight when he's like landing on some remote lake and he's just like, half in tears, half stoked, it was really special. And, Rob is, he's a mechanic that's, worked with Mission Aviation Fellowship and felt called to PNG. So there's just like this really cool, tight knit group of missionary families. Chris and Sarah, they do all the medical stuff. And it's just, it's absolutely, and they all live together. They have this like compound, and I don't know. It's, as soon as I land, I just feel like I'm at home, but you're in like the most foreign place you've ever been in your life. So it's pretty special what they have going there.
So I'm kind of curious, you mentioned, since we didn't have Taylor there, you had to be back behind the rig, which you did the first time.
Yeah.
Actually, the episodes that we've been able to release thus far of the Dispatch series are all because you were our dude behind the camera.
Yeah.
So is it easy? Is it easy filming there, or what are some of the unique challenges about filming in PNG in particular?
Yeah, it's easy in the sense that what we're filming is spectacular in the sense of like it's an airplane flying through the jungle, landing on crazy rivers, and everything we film is really beautiful, and it's difficult. Because the first time I think I filmed on the Canon rig, and then we switched to the Sony rig, and so I'm just like a little slow because I don't operate camera. That's not my job description anymore. So, but yeah, I used to do it, so it's still kind of there. Like I kind of describe it like when I haven't flown in the airplane in a while, like they call it being behind the airplane, where you're just like, oh, you're not on top of things, and you're just like a little behind. That's kind of how I feel the whole time.
More reactive than proactive.
Yeah, but once I'm there for a few days, it comes back. And like the hard part about filming in Papua New Guinea is like you're in a 5-point harness in a small airplane. It's 95 degrees, it's humid, and you land, and you need to film. You want to film everything. You want to film the landing. So there's only so many angles you can get from being stuck in a cockpit. So then as soon as it lands, I'm like trying to get out of this, like a airplane on floats is really high up too. So you're like climbing down just to get to the float. And then the float's like, if it's on dry land, is still 3 or 4 feet high. And so you land, and I'm trying not to fall in the river. It's full of crocodiles and expensive gear, and trying to get like different, angles. And it's just, everything's hard about it, but it's always worthwhile. And, you've got people who have never seen, or have never seen an airplane up close, and have rarely seen a white person. So it's just like a little overwhelming for them. And you're trying to film, and you also want to say hi, nice to meet you, but you want to get their reaction. It's all the things which makes documentary filmmaking so wonderful. Yeah.
Well, any close calls? We almost dunked our very expensive gear.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how close it was.
Crashed a drone.
It felt close, but we landed. Mark wanted to take me into this really cool village, and it's this really narrow, like little estuary that goes way back, tucked in with these beautiful, lush mountains. And he goes, I want to take you there. It's just stunning. It's like traveling back in time 500 years. It's unbelievable. All the kids are naked running around, and they don't care. And so we land and we taxi in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I go, where are you taking off? He goes, I'm just going to rip out of this valley, which is really narrow. I'm like, oh, that'll be such a cool drone shot. Okay. I go, let me get into a canoe, and I'm going to go back down all the way kind of the exit point, and I'll fly the drone. Give me like 5 minutes. I'll, get down there, fly the drone, and we'll get a shot as you exit. And so I get into this, like these dugout canoes that are like so wobbly. And, but you just like, that's how these dudes get around everywhere they go. Like they fish from them, they get to their houses to and from. And so, they just have some white guy with like all his camera gear sitting there. I'm trying to film a little bit, and it was dicey. I'm like, this could go wrong any moment, and we're going to be sunk. But no, we made it, and got the shot. And so, yeah. And then, so then I'm like trying to hike back to the spot where the plane dropped all the meds off. We were doing a med drop. And so we're hiking through the jungle, and there's this really cool tree that's like goes out over the river. So I'm getting like a static shot. I can hear Jesse Schlentz, our editor, like get lock off shots. I'm like, okay. So I'm getting a lock off shot, and it's totally serene. It's like, you just hear all these jungle creatures in the background, and it's just like, you just want to curl up and take a nap. It's just that amazing. And all of a sudden I'm filming, and I'm trying to hold the camera steady. And then all of a sudden, like, kadoosh. And I'm like half startled, like hold the camera still. I don't know what just happened, but there's like a big splash in the water, and I'm like, crocodile, like death adder snake. I don't know what's happening right now. And then like Gadoosh, gadoosh. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look, and there's like these naked Papua New Guinea kids like jumping out of this tree. I had no idea they were in the shot there. And so of course, naturally I was like, hold the camera. I'm like, I had my shorts on, but like I didn't get naked, but I climbed up the tree and had to jump out of it. So it's good. So documentary filmmaking at its best.
How many times have you been to PNG now?
Second time.
Time.
So I was there in September and this time.
What, if anything, like perspective-wise, because I know like you go to a place once and you kind of see a layer and then you keep going and you see more layers. Like what layers kind of revealed itself to you this time around that maybe wasn't there the first time? Yeah,
Mark and I had a really interesting conversation, especially after he picked up the tribal war victims, and they literally have bow and arrows through like I think each dude had like 3 arrows in them. Like it's an unbelievable sight, that I'm sure will be in the documentary, but you're just going like, it's one thing to fly an airplane in and save them, which they need to keep doing. Like, cause it's not just tribal war. It's like birth complications, pregnancy complications. It's snake bites like that kid. And it's a multitude of other things, malaria. But for that one specifically, like, what are they fighting over?
Right.
And Mark's like women and land, like that's kind of the deal. And so we had a really fascinating conversation about trying to possibly problem solve, maybe getting somebody in to start doing some trauma work, because one of the problems in Papua New Guinea is it's an eye for an eye culture. That's what Mark said. And it really is. And it doesn't go away. It's like, if I punch you, you're going to punch me back twice, and I'm going to punch you back 3 times. And so this violence has escalated to the point where people are shooting each other with bow and arrows. And that's normal to them. It's not strange. It's not bizarre. It's their culture. And so I guess the first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, this is real life. And, and now it's like thinking about like, how do we, is there a solution to this? And how do maybe, is there an invitation from God to maybe participate in that somehow, some way? So, talking to our friend Craig, who's a therapist over there and who, runs a Latitude Recovery Center. And we're talking about like, hey, like maybe it's from substance abuse, because people don't just fight for no reason. Yeah. Usually it's like, and so there's like, starting to ask those questions, like,
wait, what substance is being abused in the jungles and backwaters of Papua New Guinea?
It's not banana brew, but it's something like that. It's like some fermented beverage that they're making back there. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, that's usually anywhere you see trauma in the world, like substance is usually right there with it. So anyways, to answer your question, yeah, it's malaria will always be there. Pregnancy complications in the bush will always be there. But the violence doesn't have to be. So it's neat to, see the people who are there starting to think about those types of things. And hopefully, we can see a solution here in the near future. So,
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And was Samaritan Aviation, were they, at this time, are they kind of breaking into some of that new territory that they had hoped to? Yeah,
Mark and Kirsten made a trip to the Gulf province. So we're up in Wewak, which is, Papua New Guinea's that island right above Australia. It's cut in half. Half of it's Indonesia, half of it's PNG. And so they're up next to the border of Indonesia in the very northern portion. And then and that's where the East Sepik River province is. And so the Sepik River it's like the Mississippi River. It's like this massive river system with like estuaries. I was there, last time I was there was low water, so it looked completely different. This time I was there, it was high water because it's the end of the rainy season. And it's spectacular. I've never seen anywhere on earth that looks like this. It's just amazing. Like there's so many moments in flights where Mark and I were flying back, just like looking out the window going, are you kidding me? Like this place exists and there's no tourism there, and there should be, because it's beautiful. But yeah, now, so they really have that dialed. So everywhere on the river is, I think most of the flights are probably 25 to 35 minutes from Wewak. You fly up and over these mountains and you're in the basin, and then you get to these villages. And so if you have a snake bite in the Sepik River, within an hour, you're going to be, from being picked up, you're going to be at the hospital being treated. Now, in the Gulf province. So that's in the south of Papua New Guinea, just right across from Australia. There are a bunch of rivers running north and south. And so what you have is if you've got a snake bite and you've got to go to an aid post or a hospital, you've got to go down the river all the way to the ocean, out in the ocean, over a few miles, and then up the next river. What's really, if you could just go as the crow flies, it's a couple miles. So it's crazy to think that, you're in a canoe for 5, 6, 7 hours trying to get treatment and usually not making it. That's that kind of the norm there. So now Mark, they've partnered with a hospital, Kapuna Hospital, and now they're working out the logistics on how to they've got 2 airplanes coming over. And now they're figuring out how to house those airplanes because it's tricky over there. And I mean, this is really primitive area, and they're going to start working in that Gulf province, which is exciting. And that's a big part of why we chose Samaritan Aviation for the dispatch series, is because of this big expansion project. It's going to be exciting to follow along as they make partnerships with hospitals and the government and all the tribes. And so my first trip, I was able to go with them on kind of their exploratory trip. And that was amazing. We landed at some villages where they've seen airplanes in the sky, but they've never been up close. And it was really an amazing experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's similar to what I wanted to ask you is, and how far are the different projects that Samaritan Aviation and we're partnering with are assimilating into these areas and doing some of that deeper work, or is that even happening? And what does it look like? I don't know if you experienced culture shock or different things that you had to contend with kind of on that level interpersonally.
Yeah. I don't experience culture shock much. I haven't in a long time. I guess just working with nations, that's kind of adapting, and has become the norm. And what's interesting about PNG is if you've picked up a Nat Geo or have taken the Jungle Book ride at Disneyland, that's what it's like.
Familiar
it's
enough.
Very familiar. Yeah. It's amazing that way. It's like a fantasy world, in some aspects. And then, as far as Samaritan goes, they are so busy at what they're doing. They have an incredible hospital ministry, and that's really where they're able to minister to the people. Because the system there is different than here. If you break your leg out in the CPIC, we don't just pick you up to go to the hospital. I'm going to come with you because you don't have any food. So I'm going to go into town and get some food. And the hospital doesn't necessarily provide medication. So I'm going to go to the pharmacy, get the medication, blankets, all that stuff. It's just a different system. So Samaritan really fills the void with people who just aren't able to get food or medicine. And so they have a full staff dedicated to doing that. And so that's where a lot of their hands-on ministry happens. But the pilots are pretty much going nonstop. It's, those guys work, even on the weekends. They're one of the pilots is on call, and it's just tough. You get a call in, it's oh, well, do you want to enjoy your Saturday, or do you want to go save a kid who just got bit by a snake and needs a flight? So they're true missionaries in the sense of they're there for a reason, not just to fly airplanes, but to be a part of this life-saving effort. And that's so needed. So, a majority of their emphasis is solely aviation. And then, they do vaccine outreaches. And so they'll partner with physicians and go in and do outreaches of that sort. But it's all kind of based around the medical aspect of it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool.
One of my favorite parts of you coming back from the field is that inevitably that next week or so is there's a number of episodes of story time with Joel. So I'm wondering if you could take us to that wonderful land of story time with Joel. What? Okay, 2 questions. Most intense experience that you had this last trip, and most joyful experience that you had.
Most intense. Yeah. Mark left me in a village for a few hours and it was getting dark, and cause he got another call. Actually it was the tribal warfare call. So, I was well, I guess I'm spending the night out here. No bug spray. I'm literally sitting there with the chief, and there's 250 people just staring at me what's this guy? Where did he come from? So, and then joyful. Yeah. I just kind of, I'm still a youth pastor at heart. So I'm like, I'm not going to just sit here and let 250 tribal people like stare at me. So I'm like, bring me 3 rocks. And they're like, the chief's like,
you juggled
3. Yeah. It's 3 rocks. And so they bring me 3 rocks. And so I start juggling, and it was like sorcery. They'd never seen anything like it. They're just like, what has this white person brought us? Like, this is unreal. And then I'm like, do you guys have a ball? And so they had this little ball. I'm like, I need a stick. So we started playing baseball. I introduced baseball. So I mean, I'm doing my part here. I'm evangelizing the gospel of Jesus Christ and the greatest game on earth. So yeah. So we played that. Oh man, it was great. Anytime you fly the drone, like all the kids just lose their mind. So part of it's like for the movie, part of it's just for, to
entertainment, joy.
It's an air show for the kids.
Yeah.
And then they have a little guest house out on this island, and it's where they can get away from kind of their work and have that Sabbath. And it's a really cool little house, but it's very primitive. There's no running water. It's awesome. And out on the island is a family, Robert and Catherine, and he's the Catholic pastor, obviously because he's not the priest because he's married and has 9 kids. So anyways, they're just the best family, and they're so fun. So as far as joy goes, like when we pull in, it's like all the kids are there, and I always bring a racquetball with me everywhere I go. So so like catch starts, and like we're fishing, we're swimming, we're climbing trees, drinking coconut water, and it's like the most fun you could ever have. So
yeah, that you just mentioned fishing, which for True Nations fans who've listened to all the podcast episodes thus far, I made everybody share their greatest fear, and I'm pretty sure that you shared your fish phobia.
Yeah.
Which has been this, this dividing wall in what is otherwise this remarkable friendship.
Yeah.
Because fishing is one of my
your
favorite thing.
It's like aviation to me is fishing to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Except I'm stoked on aviation. I don't hate airplanes, and gag when Joel sends me pictures of him flying an airplane or something. Yeah. You're the only person who, if I send a fish picture to from one of my fishing trips, that you thumbs down it.
And I say gross.
Yeah,
every time.
Gross.
Yeah.
So I was so proud. You came back. You've come back from both of your PNG trips, and you have gone fishing.
Yeah.
You've successfully fished. You still haven't touched the fish that you've caught.
Not quite yet.
Not quite.
I touched the shark.
Wait.
Caught a shark. Yeah. So I didn't. Well, Matt Condon caught it, and so we're going out, and that's how you eat. If you don't fish, you don't eat. So, or you eat, but it's just not. It's just rice. So we're fishing, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, Mark's like, fish on. So kill the boat. This is on the way out to the island. And Mark loses his. And Matt's like, oh, fish on. And so he's like, just doing the thing. Nothing like crazy. Mm-hmm. And he's like, man, this thing's just not getting to the boat. And 45 minutes, an hour later, we're like, this is a big fish. Like, is it caught on the reef? Like, we're like, what's going on here? Well, it was a 5.5 foot black tip shark. So we're like, like it's a shark. It's like a real shark with teeth. And so, we muscled this thing into the boat, and it's thrashing about. And that was pretty exciting.
Did you keep it?
Oh yeah, we ate it, dude. It was the best meal I've ever had in my life. It was top 5 meals I've ever had in my life.
What does shark taste like?
Catherine prepared it. And so she does, like, almost every meal is this coconut rice that it's like a fried white rice, but like in their coconut. I don't know how it's just so anything over open flame out there on the island is just so good. And then it was like a stew almost, or like a curry. And it was like tears were coming. Like everyone's like, this is so good. It was amazing. I didn't know shark was that good. And partly because it's, fresh, like we'd caught it an hour prior to the meal, but yeah.
Does this mean that you're now safe forever from shark attacks because you've consumed one? Like
I don't know.
absorb its powers.
I
and
hope so.
Shark.
That's
I
the way it
hope so.
works, right?
Yeah,
That's very-
I think
Yeah.
so. I think that's fair.
Like, I don't fear garlic anymore. I've eaten it.
That's the right analogy.
Yeah.
I also don't fear vampires. Well, Pixart didn't happen, dude. I mean, do you have any pictures or videos from
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
we can?
Yeah.
we can
What do you want to see?
Show people,
You want to see the shark?
dude. Yes, I want to see the shark. I want to see the shark. I want to see something beautiful.
Okay. Here's the shark. Let's see here.
I don't know if I want people to see something graphic.
Yeah, we'll save that for
Yeah.
the doc.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not
We'll show it to
so
you.
while you're, this is the perfect time to pitch people. If you are not subscribed
Ooh.
and you would like to see the gnarlier stuff or just our dispatch series in general, this is an excellent opportunity for you to head over to nations.co and get a subscription.
There's a shark.
Whoa,
Then there's a shark,
Wow.
that's beautiful.
dude.
There's Mark and Matt.
Mark's laughing.
Oh, it's about to get brutal.
Oh, you're about to kill a shark
We
live
tried.
on the Nations Pod?
There it is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, we'll pause it right there.
You later ate that shark.
Yeah, it was amazing. So that's that. Let's see. Oh, you want to see some of the kids out on the island? This is so good.
That's a great shot.
It's beautiful.
So that's Drake and Milka. Yeah.
Wait, and
amazing.
these are
They're the
kids of the Catholic
family.
pastor, not
Yep.
priest.
Yep. Not priest, pastor.
Not priest,
Pastor, not
pastor.
priest.
Yep.
Okay, dude. Well, I've got some hot take questions prepared for you. So unless there's any
Hey.
other great stories that from this last PNG trip that you want to share.
Ooh, let's see here. Oh, here's the airplane. You can see that.
Is this a new one?
Nope, that's Sierra Alpha Bravo.
Wait, is that the one that you guys almost crashed? That you guys punctured the pontoon?
I think so. Yes, I think that was.
Glad to
this
see
one.
you're alive and well.
Yep. Here's just coming back on the CPIC.
Oh, wow.
It's just,
You
it's beautiful.
gross.
Beautiful.
I never want to go there.
Here's this. You see all like the estuaries.
Uh-huh.
It's just, it's
Dude,
really,
take me there with a fly rod.
Oh, you'd love it. You would love it. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here's Robert. That's my pastor.
That's your.
Yeah, I went to mass one Sunday. It was really cool
Look at that.
because they speak and talk Pissin, which is like it's like pidgin, and so you can understand enough of it. And yeah, I felt very cultured. I'm like, ooh, I'm a part of something here. This is cool.
That's so rad.
Yeah, and I caught that fish.
What?
Yeah, I caught
Whoa.
that Spanish mackerel. Bottom of the ninth. It's like getting dark, and we had been skunked, and I'm like, I'm catching a fish right now. I said it out loud too. I kind of claimed it. Wham! Zzz. Yeah, and I landed it. And we ate dinner. See, fishing's cool when you have to eat.
Yes.
It's a lot. I figured that out. For me, it's a lot. It's a
Well,
lot more
and
fun.
also, you know, people love catching. Most people don't like fishing. They really like catching. them.
yeah, yeah.
So it makes a big difference when you successfully catch something.
I kissed a crocodile.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, look at that.
Does Rachel know about this?
Let's see what else. This is Mark. So this is
Oh, that's
Mark's
right.
namesake.
Yeah, he told us about
wow.
him. Mark told us about Mark when Mark was last on the Nations Pod.
That's awesome.
So we're training him up to be the next Nations filmer. So,
Yes, please.
Love it.
that's great.
Someday, Mark, you'll be here on the Nations Pod
Yeah.
after winning an award for your documentary films. Shall we do some hot takes and call it a day?
Let's do it. I love that.
Okay. I don't know if you guys prepared any hot takes.
I have one in mind.
You have one mindful? Then you can start because I've got a couple written down.
All right. So, if Maverick and Goose were missionary pilots
Oh, man.
and not fighter pilots, what's the movie called?
Oh man.
It's a good one.
That's so good. Wow.
Apparently, it's called Speechless.
Yeah. It's called heaven. That's what that is. That's like a combination of my two favorite things: serving God and flying airplanes.
We'll accept that.
Fair enough.
I am
Which-
going to get back to you on that.
Okay.
I got to think about that. That's a good one.
Which baseball team is better?
Dodgers.
Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Dodgers.
Well, it's not the New York Dodgers, Brooklyn Dodgers.
Brooklyn Dodgers.
So, well, I would have to say the Brooklyn Dodgers and that's why I'm a Dodger fan, is because my grandfather was a jazz musician living in Brooklyn, following the Dodgers. And so that's where it all starts.
So you're
Jackie Robinson. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
Ebbets
So you're
Field.
allowed. So basically, you're allowed to be a true blue Dodgers fan because of family legacy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll accept it.
Kicked out of the family if you're not. Yeah. It's pretty serious.
What is better, snow in California or snow in Washington?
Snow in Washington.
Why?
The terrain's steeper. I mean, Tahoe's really good. I mean, but it's just familiarity. I know, I just grew up riding 30 years in the Pacific Northwest. Crystal Mountain, it's just the best.
You know,
Baker.
I rode Baker, rode obviously Steven, Snoqualmie, Mission Ridge, most other places. I never rode Crystal.
Oh, it's so good.
Maybe
Yeah.
someday you'll take me there. Other snow-related question.
Okay.
This might save a life someday. How do
Okay.
you survive an avalanche?
You pray. First of all, you don't get in the situation if you're not prepared for it. So, especially this year, there's just so much snow, and
Record setting.
it gets exciting when a lot of snow falls from the sky, but it's starts sticking, and all that weight eventually has to give. So it either comes from wind loading, or it comes from like if you have rain or different temperatures and the different layers, just it makes like a slip and slide. So all that weight. Sometimes it only takes 6 inches of snow and that can slide. Other times, if it's 3, 4, 5 feet deep, those are the really bad ones. But yeah, I mean, anytime you drop into a line in backcountry, you always want an out. You're just like, oh, okay, if something starts to move, like I'm going this way, I'm going that way. Have a plan. And then if you're buried, you want to swim. So just do whatever you can to swim to try to stay on top of it. And then once, if you are buried, you try to get into a ball, and then you try to make an air pocket, and then you pray that the people that you're with. This is another big part of riding in backcountry. You only ride with people who are really good in backcountry. So then it's a matter of like having the beacon, knowing how to use a beacon, correctly probing, and then knowing how to shovel and get down and save a life. So yeah,
Have you ever saved a life?
No, I haven't had to. I haven't really been involved in I've been in little avalanches, sloughs they're called, but I have friends though who've been buried, and Brock Crouch survived probably one of the gnarliest. He's a friend of ours. We filmed with the very First Nations movie. He survived probably one of the heaviest survived avalanches of all time. Like,
Jeez.
Very traumatic. Yeah. So
Wait, has anybody here saved a life?
I'm 0 for 1 CPR. So
Oh, dude.
yeah,
Heavy.
yeah, it's pretty gnarly. That was surf related though.
I saved a life once. You're welcome, Jesse Davis.
Wow.
Enchantments, Alpine Lakes, outside of
Yeah.
Leavenworth.
Yeah.
He took too big of a bite of a bratwurst, and
You Heimlicked him?
dude, I'm sitting across from him, and all of a sudden he's like, and first we're all kind of laughing at him, and then he just keeps doing that, and I like ran over to him, and I'm like, Jesse, this is the international sign for choking. Are you choking? And he's like, yes. I was like, would you like me to give you the Heimlich maneuver?
You were asking him questions.
I've never been trained in CPR, okay? Not
Pull out a
EMT.
waiver
This
or
is
something
Yeah,
from the
I know that there are Good Samaritan laws, but I wanted to make sure that,
gosh.
and so then, turn him around and
Oh. Whoa.
Whoa.
breath of life.
Amazing.
So,
Go, Joseph.
yep, got
Wow.
that merit badge.
Wow.
For
I feel a
real.
lot safer going to lunch with you now.
I do too.
Totally.
Let's go get some bratwurst.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was better than Kobe?
Oh man. I mean, there's a lot of players I think in different situations better than Kobe. I think I love Magic. I've always Magic Johnson is probably my second favorite Laker of all second favorite basketball player of all time. Man, Kobe though, I've always defended him. The guy's just, I love him. I love his approach to basketball.
And you got to stand next to him once.
I did, yeah. At the, in the Key Arena, Seattle Supersonics game.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Their last season, and I stood right next to him, and I just gave him the Jacoby as he was just draining 3-pointers. It was amazing. Crazy moment. That's a whole nother podcast, that story alone.
Stay tuned for the Nation's Pod, where we explore Joel's strange love for Kobe Bryant. Not strange, merited. He's one of the greats.
Yeah.
I have 2 more. Wait. Yes, I have 2 more questions. Claire, do you have any hot takes for Joel?
I just want to know, window or aisle seat on a long haul flight?
Oh, great.
And how do you get through a long haul flight? I want to know your routine.
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast too.
I know,
are we
but,
going
like, boiled down?
Do we
'Cause
have 5 minutes allocated for Joel's how to survive long flights?
I think we can cut this into its own.
Dude, this will be
and that's
social
its own
media
video
gold.
of like
Okay, it's
This is-
within the podcast. But I think
where
this
we're
is
going to start
important.
turning
Dream.
Joel into a travel influencer.
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
my system works.
Well deserved.
But you have to you can't take shortcuts. So if you're prepared
Okay.
to adapt my system, it's 100%, Claire.
I mean, I have my own system, but I'm curious to like compare notes.
So, here's the deal. So, my last trip to PNG, I literally flew around the world. So, I was in the air for 48 hours. LA to Qatar, Singapore, Port Moresby, Wewak, and then all the flying in country. Wewak, Moresby, Brisbane, LA. Literally circumnavigated the globe. And
You and Magellan, dude.
yeah, I know. It was incredible. So here's the deal. So you go to LA. It's every international flight. It's usually in the evening. So you don't eat. Have like an early lunch, no late lunches. So you want an empty stomach going under your flight. So you get on the plane at 6:30, 7:30, 8:30. You want to be hungry. Empty stomach. You get to your gate an hour prior and you stretch for an hour. Like stretch it out.
Like downward dog,
Stretch. You just be that weirdo.
sun salutation, namaskara.
You're stretching. Get over it. People are be looking at you, but you're going to be laughing all the way as you sleep for 8-9 hours on the plane while they're watching their 5th movie uncomfortably. So you stretch. When I get on the plane, I take a Unisom. It's over the counter, just one Unisom, boom, and on an empty stomach. Okay, so you sit down, you ask for water, and sometimes they give you a little water in the pouch, and you drink the water, take the Unisom, empty stomach.
J&J or Procter & Gamble were open to sponsorships. If you're system, just throw that
We're
in
not
there.
doctors. This is not medical advice.
So
Do your own research.
yeah, so like melatonin doesn't knock you out. At least me, this is like, and so most people that I've kind of coached in this, like Unisom, it works. And so then you're fighting it. You can start a movie, whatever, but an hour after takeoff, they'll feed you dinner. And so eat that dinner. And so your medicine's already done its work. It's already starting to numb the brain or whatever it does. And so then make sure you're hydrated, and it's 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep every single time for me.
Wow.
And so it's just like a coma. You wake up and you're just like, oh, and I always change too, like get into your sweats, kick your shoes off, get comfortable. And I always make sure to have a jacket because the flights are always cold. I've got the Bose noise canceling headphones. And I just sit there and get comfortable. Oh, and Duo neck pillow. That's the one. I've invested probably $300. We went deep. Our friend Jacob Carlson, we were like, we're going to find the best neck pillow. And we found it. It's an inflatable one. Cause those neck pillows are so annoying cause they're just so big and bulky. And the last thing you want to do is be carrying one around. So this is an inflatable one, and it's got the big hole too. So like 2 puffs and it's like, it's awesome. Nice. It's all around you. It's got all these different angles too. But the nicest thing about the Duo, DUO,
another sponsorship opportunity
is you can deflate it, so it's not, your neck's not like sticking out. You can kind of get comfortable, and then it's 8, 9, 10 hours, Claire, of just
It's interesting.
It's just epic sleep, and it works like every single flight. Like, and I'll watch. I did watch Top Gun on the way to PNG, and
Original
I watched
or Maverick?
Maverick,
Okay.
and I watched Top Gun Maverick on the way home as well. So I'll usually watch like one movie on a really long flight. So the Brisbane flight, I think, is 14 hours. So yeah,
That's a long flight.
it's a long flight.
Do you take your shoes off when you get to the new place and ground yourself? Have you heard about that?
No, I have not.
Grounding effect?
Grounding?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like the barefoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go walk barefoot reconnect with.
You have to put like patchouli
Not,
on.
not
like,
in the
it's
airport
like,
though.
not in the airport.
That's
Disney.
It has to
disgusting.
actually. It has to be earth.
Yeah, which it reminds me, I've got to
Yeah.
get my dewormer because I do.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Well, that wasn't necessary, but
PNG, like you definitely you walk barefoot places, you need to deworm. So that's my travel. Like if you
Okay.
do that,
I hear you.
that's it. So
it.
what was your original question though?
Window or aisle?
So for me it's either or. So it's window if there's no one else there, but it's aisle if it's a full plane. So
Okay.
I always go aisle. Aisle on the side of the long haul planes. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Just
sense.
you're not going to be able to lay down. So just get that out of your, like
Well, no.
it's a rare day that you're going to get 4 seats.
Sure.
And so people will fight for that, but I'm just not into that fight. So I get comfortable and I can, if you just assume the worst. And if you get blessed by an open seat or two, then great. But yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm the tray table down, hood up.
Oh, you go
in your face.
Oh, wow.
some of us are too long to do that.
Yeah, I can't.
Especially if you
I
get a
hit,
window.
I'll hit
you
the
can
seat in
just
the front.
yeah.
Like I can't.
So
get
we have
down.
very different
Yeah.
routines, but that's
Yeah.
fine. Good to know.
Yeah.
I have 2 left.
Okay.
Then we'll call it quits. I swear.
A lot of questions.
I know. Joel's an interesting guy.
We don't get this time with him very often.
I know we really don't.
Plus, I'm
Mike.
like jet
Love
lagged
hanging
too,
out.
so
I
I
just
don't know
love
if
hanging out
this,
with you
if
guys.
this is coherent at all.
Oh, it's
What-
great.
What is the greatest airplane ever?
Wow.
Oh, the one you're flying. I don't know.
That's
What a pilot
that's
answer.
a question.
All right,
Answer.
fine.
I'll say, yeah, the F-14 Tomcat, just because Top Gun had such an influence on my life.
Dude,
Okay.
Come on.
So that's always a special one. But I think the Cessna 182 and 206 they're just such awesome airplanes because they get you cool places. Like the 182 and the 206 will get you into the backcountry. That's the 206 is what they use on the floats and the Sepik River. So I'd probably stick with that.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
What are we gonna name our new
Oh man,
our new office mascot?
I don't know. It's a lot of
I
Suggestions?
pressure.
hope he brings us blessings and good luck, and not like
not tribal war.
Not crocodiles.
voodoo.
If you get in a fight,
Oh,
I'm gonna
geez.
throw this spirit.
Oh
to you.
my gosh!
There you go.
Detachable.
I say, I was gonna suggest that we call him Steve, but we already have it. We already have.
That's kind
Steven.
of lame.
Yeah.
No, but I kind of like.
Yeah, I did learn this though, because we landed at a village and these kids had like the mud all over their face. We're like, oh, what's going on? They're like, oh, we just killed 3 crocodiles today. We're having a big celebration. I'm like, so that's what that means. If there's mud on your face, they've
Killed a
There's been
crocodile.
a kill.
There's been a kill. Time to celebrate.
Did
Can
it
you
re-
eat crocodile meat?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't get to try it. I've seen it. I saw it on a menu, but I wasn't in the mood, and I'm
had some-
regretting it
It's,
now. I
it's a
wish I would
specific
have
mood to
done
eat
it.
crocodile.
I had some
Yeah.
when I was in Florida.
Yeah, good, bad, and different.
I mean, tastes
Florida
like
man
Chicken?
cooks crocodile.
Tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken.
I've had some too, but it was unidentifiable.
All right, friends. I think that covers it for our first ever field report. Thanks, Joel.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. What a treat to be on this side of the table.
All right, and we're out.
Nice job. That was fun.
Cut.